Okay, let's settle this once and for all. You've been scrolling through reviews, watching comparison videos at 2 a.m., standing in front of display walls in big box stores squinting at pixels like you're decoding the Matrix, and still, the question remains, should you go with old or QLED in 2025? Because the marketing, oh, it's relentless. Perfect blacks, unrivaled brightness, quantum magic. You'd think these TVs were preparing to ascend into a higher dimension. But here's the truth. We're no longer in the early days where OLED was this futuristic luxury and QLED was Samsung's flashy buzzword to stay in the race. This is 2025. And this year, the gloves came off. So buckle in. Because the OLED versus QLED debate has reached its most dramatic and, dare I say, emotional chapter yet. Let's start with the basics. Because to understand who won, you have to understand what they are. OLED organic light emitting diode isn't new anymore. It's not niche. It's not experimental. It's matured. Like that weird, artsy friend from college who now runs a wellness brand and drinks ceremonial cacao in the mornings. Every pixel in an old screen emits its own light, which means when it wants to be black, it's black. Like black hole, outer space, existential crisis black. And that gives it an image quality that feels alive. Inky shadows, cinematic contrast. If you've ever watched a moody drama on an old panel, you know it doesn't just show you the scene. It pulls you in. QLED, on the other hand, is LED's genetically enhanced cousin. It uses a layer of quantum dots to improve brightness and color. Think of it as LED's glow up. It can't turn off individual pixels like OLED, but it can push brightness like no one's business. Want to watch TV in a sun-drenched room while eating a bowl of cereal and refusing to close your blinds? QLED's got you. So what happened in 2025 that changed everything? Mini LED, micro contrast zones, ML-powered image processing. QLED came to fight this year. Samsung's flagship QLEDs are brighter than ever, with mini LED backlights giving them shockingly precise local dimming, almost rivaling OLED in dark scenes. They're delivering incredible HDR performance, jaw-dropping peak brightness, and color saturation so intense you might start seeing into the emotional life of fruit. But here's the twist. OLED didn't just coast. It evolved. LG dropped its new Meadow OLED panels this year, and the results? Stunning. We're talking even brighter displays, yes, brighter OLEDs, the thing critics used to nitpick, and better burn-in resistance, thanks to smarter pixel shifting and organic material refinement. In plain English, it's OLED, but tougher, smarter, and more dazzling than ever. Even the longtime Achilles heel of OLED brightness in bright rooms has been significantly reduced. The new panels, with added heat dissipation layers and evolved brightness boosting algorithms, now hold their own even in daylight. Not QLED level searing brightness, but enough that your living room won't look like a shadowy cave every time you watch TV at noon. And here's the kicker: LG wasn't alone. Sony's A9 5L and Samsung's own QD OLED panels, yes, Samsung is now making OLEDs too. Plot twist showed that even QLED's original champion is hedging its bets. Samsung is literally competing against itself with QD OLED tech that merges the best of both worlds. OLED's contrast with quantum dot color range. So now you're probably thinking, okay, so which one actually wins? And the answer is, it depends on what kind of person you are. No, seriously. Because these two display technologies aren't just specs and acronyms anymore. They're experiences. And the kind of experience you want, the kind of viewer you are, says more about which screen belongs in your home than any technical chart ever could. If you're the kind of person who watches movies in a dim, cozy room, obsessively tweaks picture settings to get that perfect cinematic look, wants the deepest blacks possible without a hint of halo or backlight bleed, values color accuracy and immersion above raw brightness, can actually see the difference between compressed Netflix streams and UHD Blu-rays, then let's be honest, OLED still owns your soul. The 2025 OLED panels are the best they've ever been. They're refined, sharp, whisper quiet in their perfection. Watching on one feels like entering the movie rather than watching it. There's a reason filmmakers rave about them. It's the closest thing to seeing their work as it was intended. But if you're the kind of person who watches sports, news, or reality TV with all the lights on, has a bright, open living room with massive windows and zero desire to draw the curtains, loves eye-popping, saturated color and searing HDR highlights, wants a vivid, punchy display that makes animated shows look like they were hand-painted by Technicolor wizards, hates even thinking about screen burn-in, ever, then QLED, especially mini LED models, might actually serve you better. Samsung's 2025 Neo QLEDs are built for this. They scream daytime television in the best way. Not subtle, but absolutely spectacular. Think of it like driving a luxury SUV with turbo bold, high performance, designed for control and flair. And here's something no one tells you. Burn-in fears on OLED are overhyped in 2025. Unless you're running the same static image 12 hours a day, every day, your OLED is probably going to outlive your desire to even own a TV. The tech is smarter now. It's learning. It's evolving. Burn-in is the old ghost of old past and it's fading fast. So, we've got two kings on the throne. But their kingdoms are different. OLED rules the night, the film lover's paradise, where shadows breathe and detail dances in the dark. QLED reigns in the day, bold, bombastic, vivid, and unapologetically bright. Want a tea-breaker? Here's a wild card. Gaming. Gamers in 2025 have it made. Both OLED and QLED offer 4K 120Hz, VRR, and low latency modes. But OLED's pixel response time is nearly instantaneous. It makes motion feel buttery, especially in fast-paced shooters or racing games. If you're into fluid gameplay and cinematic storytelling, hello, OLED. That said, QLEDs, especially with mini LED and better heat dissipation, can push brighter HDR gaming. If you want vibrant explosions and exaggerated visuals that pop like a firecracker, QLED is no slouch. Plus, larger sizes at lower prices give an edge for big screen gaming setups. Speaking of prices, let's talk wallet. Because for most of us, the decision always circles back to the price tag. In 2025, OLED prices have dropped drastically. What used to be an ultra-premium luxury is now much more accessible. LG and other brands are offering budget-friendly OLED models without sacrificing poor quality. And with frequent sales, you might find an OLED priced below a flagship QLED. QLED, meanwhile, still owns the budget space at massive sizes. Want a 75-inch screen for less than $2,000? QLED's got you. OLED can't quite match the size per dollar ratio at that tier. Not yet. So, who won? Here's the truth. 2025 wasn't about one technology winning. It was about consumers winning. Because for the first time in years, you're not choosing between outdated limitations. You're choosing between two phenomenal technologies, each honed to near perfection, tailored to different needs, moods, and lifestyles. The OLED versus QLED war. It's not a war anymore. It's a dual dynasty. You want black levels that whisper secrets. OLED. You want color that slaps you in the face. QLED. You want subtlety and depth. OLED. You want power and punch. QLED. And if you're lucky enough to get your hands on a QD OLED, well, then you've got the love child of both. The future is here and it's glorious. So drop your comparison tabs. Stop squinting at demo walls. Ask yourself, how do you want to feel when you watch? And pick the one that makes you forget you're looking at a screen at all. That's the real winner. Leave a comment. Are you Team OLED, Team QLED, or Team I'm just here for the popcorn? And don't forget to subscribe for more no fluff, all drama tech deep dives. Because screens may keep evolving, but you, dear viewer, deserve clarity. Alright, so let's say you've narrowed it down. You've walked through the glossy aisles of every electronics store in town. You've stood arms crossed comparing OLEDs and QLEDs side by side like you're a Hollywood director scouting for your next Dolby certified home theater. You've watched the same demo reel of colorful parrots, city skylines, and ominous medieval knights over and over again. And still, there's that nagging voice in your head whispering, are you sure? Because choosing a TV in 2025 isn't just about specs anymore. It's emotional. It's psychological. It's existential. Why? Because this thing is going to be in your home, your sanctuary, your shared living space possibly for the next decade. It's going to be there for every binge session, background noise moment, heartbreak movie, game night, and rainy day Netflix spiral. So when people say, it's just a TV, you laugh. Because they don't get it. This isn't just a screen, it's a portal. And now, the real question isn't which one is better. It's which one is yours. Let's take a deeper dive into the experience. Into what actually happens when you live with OLED or QLED for more than just a demo. Let's start with OLED. When you first unbox it, the panel is so thin it feels illegal. You half expect it to snap in your hands. You gingerly mount it, plug it in, and once it powers on, silence. Not literal silence TVS make sound, but visual silence. Because the black is so black that it disappears. The screen doesn't even look like it's on until something moves. And when it does, it's like the image materializes out of the void. It's elegant, dreamlike. Every pixel obeys only its own rhythm. Movies, especially those shot in natural light or with dark, moody palettes, are where OLED shows off. A candle in a pitch-black room. A character's silhouette barely illuminated. The slow fade-in of stars against a night sky. These moments aren't just visible, they're felt. And then comes gaming. You load up your favorite title, something with deep blacks, high contrast, maybe a moody soundtrack, and suddenly, you're not holding a controller. You're inside the world. There's no motion blur, no ghosting. Every sword swing, every explosion, every ray of light is immediate and immersive. OLED doesn't just show you the content, it disappears, so the content is all that's left. But and yes, there's always a but. When daylight pours through your windows at noon, and you're watching a daytime talk show or a nature documentary, you may find yourself thinking, could be brighter. OLED has improved drastically in this area with meta panels and OLED Evo upgrades. But if you're someone who refuses to ever close your blinds or turn off the overhead lights, that's where QLED swoops in. Now let's flip the switch. QLED time. You turn it on and boom, it punches you in the face with light. Not in a bad way, in a confident way. The way a Broadway spotlight might say, "You're not here to whisper, you're here to watch." Color. Explosive. Brightness. Dominant. You know those bright daytime beach scenes that look washed out on lesser TVs? On QLED, they pop like you're on vacation. Every shade of turquoise, every glint of sunlight on a wave, it sizzles. If you host sports nights, family gatherings, or just like background TV on while cleaning the house, gold is a dream. The viewing angles are wide, the colors remain stable, and the brightness cuts through whatever ambient light you throw at it. Gaming on QLED? If you're in a game with rich, vibrant environments like something from Nintendo or a fantasy RPG, it's jaw-dropping, especially with HDR pushed to its max. But then, you get to a scene that's really dark, a shadowy room, a horror movie, a black screen with a logo in the corner. And here's where the game shifts. QLED tries with mini LED dimming zones, with local dimming algorithms, and honestly, in 2025, it's better than ever. But still, you might catch it. That faint halo around a bright object, that subtle gray instead of inky black. It's not a deal breaker, but it reminds you that there's a backlight involved. And if you're coming from OLED, you'll feel it. So again, what matters most is what you value. Do you crave that velvet smooth, shadow-kissed, film-grade display where every frame feels like a painting? Or do you need a screen that blazes through sunlight, explodes with vibrancy, and lets you watch your cooking shows without squinting? Let's talk longevity. OLED, for years, carried the ghost of burn-in fear. People worried that the CNN logo or the SPN ticker would tattoo itself into the screen. But now, in 2025, burn-in is mostly a thing of the past. Smart pixel shifting, auto brightness, and advanced panel tech have made OLED far more resilient. If you're using it like a normal human being, you're good. QLED, practically immune. That's part of its appeal. Want to run the same channel for 12 hours? Go for it. Leave that pause screen up while you answer texts and make dinner. No stress. One more thing people don't talk about, the vibe. Yeah, we're going there. An OLED TV in your living room feels like art. It's subtle. It blends in. It's the silent overachiever that doesn't need to be loud. It brings a sense of calm, dare I say, zen to your space. A QLED TV, on the other hand, feels like energy, like action, like color and confidence. It brings life into the room. It wants to be seen. It's bold and unapologetic. Both are beautiful. It just depends on the kind of space you want to create. Now, let's address one last point, the future. OLED is creeping into laptops, tablets, even foldable phones. Its dominance in premium displays is expanding. QD OLED is the hybrid future that promises to blur the line completely between both camps. And mini LED is getting smarter and more refined every year. What does that mean? It means that there is no wrong answer anymore. You're not buying into an outdated format. You're stepping into two different, equally stunning visions of modern display technology. Both are built to impress. Both will serve you well. And whichever you choose, you're not just buying a TV. You're investing in your moments. The nights you rewatch your favorite movie. The weekends lost in open-world games. The lazy afternoons watching nature documentaries. The impromptu dance parties. The quiet, needed escape. So, pick the screen that makes your heart react, not just your brain. Go with the one you keep coming back to in the store. The one you felt something from even if you couldn't explain it. That's your winner. And trust me, when you unbox it, set it up, and sit down that first night with your favorite show queued up, there will be no more debate, no more comparison, just you, the glow of the screen, and that quiet, deeply satisfied yes. Leave a comment. What team are you on this year? OLED, QLED, or the mad genius going all in on QD-OLED? And hey, don't forget to subscribe, because next time, we're diving into 8K versus 4K and why resolution might not be the real resolution you're looking for. Until then, watch boldly, choose wisely, and never settle for a screen that doesn't move you. And just when you think you've made your decision, maybe you've clicked add to cart, maybe you've mentally rearranged your living room layout, here comes the doubt. You pause, you stare at your screen, you start wondering, what if I regret this in 6 months? What if a better model drops next week? What if I'm not ready for OLED? Ah yes, welcome to the existential dread phase of buying a high-end TV in 2025. Let's be real, this isn't like ordering socks. This is a statement. This is commitment. This is you casting your vote in a tech battle that's been raging for a decade. OLED versus QLED has become the Coke versus Pepsi of display tech, and now you're choosing a side. But here's the thing you need to hear. You're not going to lose either way. Because at this level, both technologies are ridiculously good. The margins between them, we're talking subtleties, feelings, slight preferences in use cases. Unless you're a professional calibrator or a total videophile watching color charts for fun, most people won't even notice a stark difference in day-to-day watching. And once it's in your space, connected, and dialed in, you're not going to be sitting there thinking, I wish this black was 0.03% blacker. You're going to be living, catching up on your favorite shows, watching your favorite team in glorious 4K, getting totally sucked into a movie you've seen 30 times, but now you're seeing details you never noticed before, playing games where the lighting alone makes you gasp. That's what this decision is really about, not acronyms or specs, but experience. So ask yourself, what kind of vibe do I want every time I press play? Do I want moody, cinematic elegance that makes me forget there's a screen at all? Or do I want dazzling, powerful clarity that lights up the room and demands to be seen? OLED is the introvert that draws you in. QLED is the extrovert that lights everything up. You can't go wrong. You can only go aligned. So trust yourself. Trust the way your heart tilted slightly when you watched that demo. Trust the screen you couldn't stop thinking about when you left the store. Trust the one that made you feel something even if you couldn't articulate why. Because that feeling, that's your winner. And once it's mounted, tuned, and glowing in your living room, you won't care what the forums say. You won't care about the next model release. If you enjoyed this, tap like, subscribe, and share. It tells the algorithm that this content matters, and it helps us keep creating more.